All right, we are officially recording.
I'm gonna mute it.
Okay, and so I'm going to take roll, see who's here for the discussions. All right, so we've got Caitlin, Morgan, Liberty, Martin, and see what else is here. Rebecca is here too. Good. All right. So anyway, good evening, you guys. Thanks for showing up. I know it's a long day. A lot of you guys are working and then doing double duty in the evening, and I'm right there with you guys. So so I appreciate it and I get it. This morning I art directed 40 projects. I saw 40 students and went over every one of their thumbnails with them. And so, yeah, most art directors don't. They do a lot of work and they're tired people because they bust their tails. But 40 is a lot. And I got to see your work too. I think we're coming along very, very well. But let's just quickly go over the agenda. So for this week, I just wanted to just make sure we're all on the page for the Unit 4 due dates. In a nutshell, really quickly, we are sticking to the due dates as listed in the course shell for the first week, for the first time ever. But thank you guys for being flexible with that. I know the course shells are almost contractual. It's hard to change anything, but as we've said before, we've always changed it to make your projects better because your portfolio deserves it. So as far as the due dates, I've got it marked right here for project A, brand identity. So day 4, that would be tomorrow. I wanted to see some thumbnails for stationery and business forms. I'm not looking for perfection. You can work quickly, but you do have to get the proportions right for the most part, which isn't that hard. And it's going to be based on your logo. So your typefaces, I expect to see your typefaces reintroduced in your thumbnail, or I mean, obviously not your thumbnails, but in the final designs. But you could fake it really quickly in your thumbnails. Like if you have sans serif type, you could easily fake sans serif type. You have shapes for your logo, you fake your logo in there, just make it a basic shape. Please pay attention to alignments. That's a big thing. I want you to pay attention to proximity and grouping and to make good designs. I think the best way to handle it is probably to let everyone kind of think about the identity. It should be going basically, let me try that again. Your stationery designs will be based off your logo in some way, shape, or form, right? The typography, perhaps the colors, even though I don't need to see color in the thumbnails, shapes, if you have textures, whatever elements, line, you name it, it will be based off of that. I do have, and I uploaded this for you guys in let me see if I can go to it real quick, just to show you. Let me make this smaller. That's better. So I'm moving some things out. Oh, you guys can probably see what I'm doing right now. Okay, going into the course shell. Where is it at? Okay, I've got to get back to the course shell. Sorry. I put it in the project resources, project examples. All right, and it's down here, stationery thumbnails. All right, so you guys can take a look at that. Now these are actually nicer than I expect. They're really well done, and I'll pull it up on screen. I think I have it next to, there they are. So in terms of formats for a business card, it's 2 by 3.5 is your standard size. If you want to work outside of that, I'm not opposed, but you should have a really good reason. Because it's going to be more expensive, more than likely. You could certainly choose different materials, whether it's paper or plastic or transparent, or there's lots of things you can do. But anyway, so this is based on an identity that has some shapes in it for the National Organization of Women. It was kind of a rebrand for them, and so you can see this person gave me lots of business card ideas. right? And they're very clear. I call these elemental thumbnails, where you don't have to tell me what you drew. I just kind of get it. It's just so easy to understand. I have sometimes students in intro, they're drawing thumbnails for me, and they draw a leaf and they have to draw a line to it and write the word leaf next to it, because there's, I can't even tell it's a leaf. So that's kind of unusual, honestly. That it's not normal for that to happen.
That's my norm.
Yeah. Okay. So if at all possible, I should be able to tell, what it is, but I don't want you to waste a lot of time rendering something perfectly. That's the point, right? But anyway, remember I told you guys, pay attention to your alignments. If you'll see, they put little dashed lines here. So it gave me a sense of, okay, this is going to be aligned to the left, or this will be an alignment of this logo. And as you come over, it hits their name and title. As you go down, it kind of hits maybe an address or contact information down there. So that really helps me to kind of see what you're thinking elementally as well as alignment wise. And they're just going to help you guys too. All right, so these were all business cards. And then she went to her envelopes. Normally speaking, on envelopes, the post office, right? If that's even necessary anymore, it seems like really old to design an envelope anymore. But the post office normally wants you to stay out of the right third of the space, because they have readers that read the codes, right? That reads the addresses. In fact, actually, this area that I'm circling right now is an area you don't have a lot of design in other than the address. So you guys make a mental note of that. You can see that this student tried to stay out of it, but sometimes went into it, and they may have problems. There is a class of mail where you can get away, I think, but you pay a little bit more for it. You can get away with designs across it, but I don't want you to have to pay more for it. So she went a little bit too far with this in some respects, to the right, bottom right. But anyway, so lots of envelope designs. And you can also design the back flap as well, which she didn't really do on this one. So you can show me the back and the front. Oh, business cards. You can also, and going back to those, you could show me a back and a front, but that's up to you. If I don't see, something that's clearly labeled back, I'll just consider that they're all fronts. All right, and then she said all envelopes. Then she showed me some really nice letterhead designs. I'm getting a sense of alignment, of shape. This dashed is kind of giving me a sense of something being, oh gosh, I'm tired right now, I can't think of it. I want to say ghosted, but what's the other word for this, where something's just very light?
Opacity.
Yeah.
Watermark.
Yeah, watermark, or kind of a drop in opacity. Some people will say a transparency, but yeah, kind of that watermarked idea. She's playing with shape, alignment. I get a sense of, the body of a letter, how that would appear, what the margins may be. But she's working fast. I mean, she's not spending a lot of time on these. And she's just using that template of 8.5 by 11. Does that help you guys kind of understand what I'm thinking? Although these are two. Yeah, so yours don't have to be this pretty, essentially.
My question then would be, what is due tomorrow? Are you just asking for these sketches tomorrow? Or
So those would be due tomorrow.
Okay.
And business forms, if you want.
Yeah, just like the drafts, the sketches, not the digital versions?
Just the sketches only. I think that's what it says. Here, let's look.
Okay, good.
I went straight to the computer because I was under the impression that the whole thing was
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Same with us, yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look. I may be wrong, right? I may have jumped ahead. So it says, once you've perfected your logo, create designs for the following stationery items and business forms. So we just looked at the top 3 things. Can do a memo. Memos are really easy.
It recommends just choosing like one thing and building kind of an identity on it, and then moving to others. So that's what my group did, was we just were focusing on business cards, and then we're going to go from there.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's how I would want you to do it. If everybody in your team does thumbnails for, say, a business card, and really the business card is the one, if you're going to throw money at any of these pieces, throw it at the business card, because you're handing that to someone personally. and it could be a little bit nicer than, say, the envelope, perhaps, but in terms of expense, whatnot. But yeah, design the business card, and then if you like that, everything kind of for the other forms kind of goes off of that to some degree, although I do want variety and I need unity, but that kind of gives you a starting reference point. So yeah, so it says begin by creating thumbnails, and roughs are just, higher level, a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter. You can do I'd rather the thumbnails be by hand and the roughs can be on the computer. Does that sound reasonable?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, basically everything I just said. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, add the initial design to the other deliverables.
That's where it got confusing. It said to apply to the other deliverables and then submit it all on the 4th day. So we thought everything had to be ready by the 4th day.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to change. I just said we back up, but I'm going to throw us off track. I'm going to give you more time. But here's what I want. I want thumbnails tomorrow.
Okay.
Hand sketched thumbnails. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. And then, because I do think you'll need a little bit more time to discuss what you have amongst yourselves and kind of get a bead on it, why don't we say that the roughs, it does say thumbnails and roughs. Let's see, what else do you do? I'm going to go back to my due dates real quick. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure that I'm not messing up. Let me go back up. Yeah, because I'm thinking that I can give you guys until the end of the week to submit the roughs.
Okay.
Like, what do you guys think is reasonable? Friday? I don't want them too late. Or Saturday?
I think Saturday is good.
Okay,
Because then that gives us time for feedback.
Yeah. I want to make sure you guys all agree that that's reasonable or not. You can disagree. Anybody? Thoughts on that? So I could say roughs, thumbnails due tomorrow, hand-drawn thumbnails, and then computer roughs due, we said Saturday, maybe?
Yeah, we were under the impression it was tomorrow, so now we're going to backtrack and do the thumbnails for tomorrow. So that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, kind of working backwards, but okay, I see.
Yeah.
Point. That's fine. It just gives you extra time to consider what you're doing. I think it's a little, it's been a while since I've taught this course, and if I redesigned the course right now, it would probably be to break that a little bit more.
Okay, so we're saying put them into submissions on Saturday at 11:59.
That would be day 6. 4.
So we're submitting both the sketched thumbnails. We'll submit those tomorrow and then submit computer roughs on Saturday.
You got it. So I'm going to write that. I'm just going to call this one Part 5A. And then let's see. I need to say thumbnails. Okay, does that look right to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
And if you have it ready tomorrow, turn it in tomorrow, but I just think you may need a little bit more time. Let's see. Okay, where was I? Oh, the descriptions of stationery. Any questions, guys, about the stationery pieces? Like, do you guys know what a mailing label is, or kind of how it's used? And I know I had some examples, but I don't even know if they were shown used properly, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so like a mailing label would be for like a larger envelope or like a box that you put it on.
Exactly.
So it has your return address on it and your logo.
Yeah, they're generally printed with your identity somewhere on it and your return address, as Mark was just saying. It's for larger envelopes that are non-standard sizes or boxes or things, and they're generally printed on something called sticky back or crack and peel. and you just peel it, print it, peel it, stick it. So that's what that is. I wanted you guys to do some business forms. So I was thinking a purchase order, estimate, an invoice. Those are things that any design firm would need. Fact sheet is almost, I don't care, honestly, but it's almost too easy, right? Fact sheet should be black and white only. Don't throw any color at the fact sheet. Keep it simple. Let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to say about the business forms. The biggest mistake people make when designing business forms, that they are actually kind of hard to design well, if you've ever designed one, but it's the lines, the rules. If you go with the default 1-point rule, if you build it, say in InDesign or Illustrator, the rules are way too heavy. You're overemphasizing the line. So make sure that those lines are thinner. Try to have fewer of them if possible. Just keep it clean. That's my main point here. I did look at the stationary designs, business form design examples. There is one thing I wanted to say about that, so I'm going to go back over to them. Again. Did you guys look through these at all? It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it not letting me go back? Let me. Yeah, it did. All right. So I think these are okay. They're not. I mean, they're pretty well designed overall. Okay. So there's a few differences there, and then this one, they're stationary designs. This is the one I don't. Do you guys see where it says treasure sock, and this is the envelope? I think that's the envelope. Do not show it like they did here. It should be as you would see it when you get it in the mail, not as if it were folded at the factory that made it, the envelope. Does that make sense? I don't want to see a package template, basically. Okay, let me see if I can go back. Yeah. Those are, Metro 5 looks really nice, actually, overall. Although I'm starting to see a template look right here. Most of these were, you can see, kind of faked with a bit of drop shadow. In the best of our worlds, and they're not due, obviously, till next week, but in the best of our worlds, what I'd really like to see, I mean, this is 2018 after all, is for these to be printed out, if necessary, trimmed down. By the way, they should be, if you do have designs like this that bleed over the edge, what I don't want is for you to print them out smaller than 8.5 by 11 and then, trim it down. I would rather you print it out on 11 by 17 and then trim it to actual size. But either way, I would rather that you actually print these on real paper and, choose your paper stock and then photograph them yourselves. It will look real. I want them to look real. I know a lot of people use templates that you can find through for Photoshop and all, but those just look so fake. I'm so tired of seeing those. So, but that's you still haven't, those wouldn't be due to the end of next week, photographed and printed. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to close those and let's go back to our file here. All right. So, so just last thing to say about due dates. So we want thumbnails tomorrow, roughs on Saturday. Thumbnails can be by hand, roughs can be on the computer. Or by hand, honestly, but they probably will be on the computer. For Project B, essentially you've done this. I pushed you guys to do this early, remember? It's like you were even questioning me about it on Monday. And I told you guys I wanted to push you because it was so important to get it right. And so it says I want each team to update their creative strategy as necessary. If you think you nailed it and I told you nailed it, great. If you needed to resubmit it, you could resubmit it. I do want to pull up, let's see, I think I have it. This one was updated and submitted by Liberty this afternoon for United Perception. And I just wanted to make sure We only did the top part of the marketing plan, but just to see if you guys have any questions about the sections or within a section as to what something may be. So I think we said executive summary should be written last, so you just would leave that blank for now. You will write that in later at the end of the quarter. Any questions about anything from the second section, current marketing situation? No? Okay. Let's see. One thing that I do want to be very, very clear on is that two things. When I asked about consumer climate, some people really didn't, I don't think they really understood what I was asking here, or what not I, but the forum is asking for. But consumer climate is, are people in a good mood? Are they spending money? Are they saving money? Are they not spending money because the economy's really in the crapper and people are getting laid off? So right now, I would say we're in a good economy. For affordable price, this is a kind of a one-size-fits-all, at least we try, form. And so when you think about affordable price, we think about goods or services that you may be marketing. In this case, it's a fundraiser. And so the only thing you could really say there is that, I would say that people could participate. It's easy. It's either free or low cost, etc. Is there a necessity for a fundraiser? Absolutely not. There is no necessity. That's why you have to make it fun and to make people want to come out, and certainly for a good cause. There is no demand for a fundraiser. There's a demand for fundraisers, but there's not a demand. It's not like everybody's going to just go out and go to fundraisers just for the fun of it. So some of these, don't really work perfectly for our project, but I think I wanted to cover that. All right, for SWOT analysis, I think everybody got strengths and weaknesses pretty well. When you think of strength, we talk about our current and internal strengths as a brand, as this nonprofit, and or their current existing fundraisers, in a sense. Weaknesses would be current and internal weaknesses. As if they've done this before, what are the weaknesses that are current and that they're seeing internally? And then opportunities are generally external and future. Okay, so you're looking forward. It could be new technology, taking advantage of new technologies. We talked about creating an app or something like that. It would be kind of neat. Although that's not future anymore, but if they don't have one, it would be certainly an opportunity. Future opportunities could be future partnerships, perhaps, or things you may see as helpful to them. And threats are also external and future. External and future. You may predict a downturn in the economy. You may see that there's going to be more competition during the time of year in which you want to do this thing. So it's a crowded marketplace, or whatever the future could be. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. I think everybody got competition good, objectives and issues. I think we're good on demographic type thing. Any questions about psychographics, guys?
Only if what you see there is not correct.
Okay, good. Yeah. So lifestyle is kind of how people live their lives, obviously. Some people are outdoors people, or homeschoolers, or I think these are right, basically. And it's kind of a general sense as to that group. And you can try to narrow it down to, I guess, the primary or dominant things. There certainly can be multiple things. Interest, that's great. There's lots of interests here that you've listed. Sometimes it can be super specific or whatnot, like interest, sports, golf in particular, or something like that. Activities, I think those are fine. Values. Yeah, what do people value in that community, or people that are likely to come out? Not everybody is going to be Christian or conservative, but if the belief system in that region is that, then that is absolutely true. Right? It doesn't mean everybody is, but then you also have non-denominational. So it may not be like the Baptist. It could be, just Christian general, right? So I think these are right. So, and not all these matter every time, right? But you do need to be thinking about those things, right? And then the thing you guys wanted to update would be the creative strategies. So we have a new campaign title called the Royal Extravaganza. I think that's fun. It's a royal ball, etc. We've discussed it before, so I'm not going to go all over it. As far as description of design, where I highlighted in green, that's exactly kind of what I was looking for. It is a royal tournament, Renaissance fair type thing. But when I look at your designs, what will I see? So it's going to be royalty, medieval themed. It may look like a royal proclamation, maybe sealed with wax. It could show or depict crowns, jewels, fur, velvet, horses, carriages, blah, blah, blah. Very good. So I think you described it to me. It's almost like describing it to your mom. And if she gets it, then I'm going to get it. You know what I mean? So I think you've done a nice job here. And you told me why you think that's a good theme. Why you think it's relevant. It will generate interest, excitement, or whatnot. So good. And I just highlighted the word quest. I kind of like that word. Use other words to describe it. And then theme 2, imagination stables or storybook stables. That definitely goes kind of skews a little bit younger. I don't know. That's something you guys can discuss. Imagination stables. It definitely sounds like something definitely for kids, although that's kind of what it's for, right? So it's fine. All right, I think you're good. And then I didn't want you guys to go past that so much. We'll start dealing with 6. I do want you guys to be thinking, and you already have thought about the media choices. And I think I said choose 5 or 6 media choices. Remind me. Okay, cool. So in the end, we'll update the marketing programs, the media choices, etc. So I think for now, I think that was really good. All right. So I think we're all on the same page with that, and I'm going to close this for now. Okay, Mark. So that's for A. Let's go to B. Oh, that was B. Creative strategy update. Okay, very good. Let's go to the top of this second column, hourly fee calculation. Caitlin, I think it was you who emailed me and said, hey, is this required? Right, was it you?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the hourly fee was extra credit and the project estimate was required.
So the reason why I made it extra credit is I know you guys have a lot to do this week. We're kind of in a critical week. Nailing down the identity. If you don't have that nailed down, you really can't design the stationary business forms. So I wanted you guys to know that you do not have to do the hourly fee calculation. But if you do, I'll give you an extra credit point. The extra credit point will be put in the process book so that if you end up at like a 79 or 89 point whatever, you go to the next grade level. If you don't have that and you end up at an 89.9, you do not go over the top. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, make your choice there, I think. The project, pardon me?
I was just going to say, so I worked on those the other day, and I noticed that it was hard. It would have been hard to do the project estimate if you didn't do the hourly fee calculation.
Okay, well, here's what we can do to make it easy. Why don't we just say you're working for $100 an hour? Now you can do the estimate. Right?
Yeah.
There, because that's you're right. If you don't have your hourly fee, you can't, add up your project estimate. And what I would do is when you do your project estimate, instead of having different amounts for different tasks, I don't believe in that. I don't think that if you do one thing, you should be paid less than another necessarily task-wise. So if you're paid $100 an hour for anything you do, then good, you'll make a profit.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, because when I did it, it's like I did the hourly fee calculation worksheet before.
Okay.
But it was like, my salary was higher than the salary of those below me. So when I felt like I was going to be doing the task on the project estimate sheet, I incorporated my hourly fee there.
And that would be correct.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
So generally, let's say the art director or principal, they put their eyes on it and they're paid a much higher than, say, the junior designer. Their hourly fee is much higher than but they have fewer hours on it than the junior designer.
Yeah.
At the same time. But it's fine with me if you guys just want to go with one basic fee for the whole thing, or one hourly rate. Certainly will make it easier to deal with. Let's see. The project estimate worksheet is pretty simple at that point to fill out. So that would be let me highlight that. Day 5. Okay. Now that is required. Any questions on that? Other questions? All right. I think we've gone over stationary business forms. We've already talked about creative strategies. All right, we're good. Okay, let's go back to our meeting agenda. So at this point, we've discussed due dates. We've kind of gone over the marketing plan, and it's just kind of a review of the marketing plan. We've kind of reviewed creative strategy and what's important there. We've talked about stationery and biz form thumbnails, and kind of how I want you to and refs at this point. All right. And now we're on to discussions. So let's see, we have about 30 minutes-ish left in our hour here. So as far as discussions go, I think I would like to run through the unit content really quickly with you guys. So let me go to, there it is. It's really tiny on my screen. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. So I know you guys have read this, but since this is a discussion and you're getting credit for it, we will kind of start with a discussion. So I was going to ask Caitlin. Caitlin, have you worked professionally at this point as a designer?
No, nothing that I've charged for.
Okay.
But I did just get an internship, so.
Congratulations, that's awesome. So I have a lot of students that truly creating an hourly fee for themselves is very difficult, because as a student, they cannot offer clients reliable business services, design services, because their work is college, right? That is their full-time job. So they're like, Baker, I want to do some freelance. What should I charge? And I said, well, we talked about this hourly fee thing, but it's not going to work for you. So I'll just kind of give you my opinion there. And I may have done this before earlier in the quarter, so if this is a repeat, sorry. But in fact, I was going to ask Caitlin, since it's Caitlin, did we discuss this before? Do you recall?
Yeah, at the end of one of our classes, I had a question, because I was meeting up with a design firm that I wanted to internship with, or they were asking me if I was freelancing, and I wasn't really at a point where I felt like I could charge yet, because I haven't, I know I'm not working as efficiently as someone who's been in the field, or, I don't have the exposure to the workflow and things like that, that people in the field would have. So, but it actually worked out. I kind of approached them and said, hey, how about an exchange and internship? And I wasn't expecting it to be paid, but they're going to still do a paid internship with me.
Did they discuss an hourly rate with you?
Not hourly. They're calling it a weekly rate, but I'll be putting in between 10 to 15 hours a week.
Fantastic. Okay, well, good. So I think that worked out well. Normally I tell students that you would want to, you've learned a lot, you've invested a lot, and you should be paid something that's an attractive. You don't want to be asked too high if you've never done this before, but I think an attractive fee would be at least what a fairly decent waiter or waitress would make at, say, Olive Garden, which would probably be around $14 or $15 an hour, on a good night. So I would say if you're just freelancing and you've never done it before, you could start off saying, once you have your estimate, you could base your estimate on a $15 an hour rate, and that would be fair. That doesn't give you permission to just say, oh, I'm working at $15 an hour, and then you don't tell them an overall price of what you think it's going to be. I mean, if it's going to be $1,200, you're basing that on so many hours, and that's fair. They just want to know that they're not going to be charged like for limitless, 15 times whatever you want. So I generally keep the hourly, the estimate internal. I don't share it with them. I just give them an overall cost for the most part. But anyway, so I would say start at $15 an hour. I think even Amazon went to $15 an hour yesterday for minimum wage. So I think that's fair. Now, as a student, gain experience, you have a couple of jobs under your belt, you feel confident, you pulled it off well, and still have good relationships with your clients. There's no reason why you can't jump to $20 an hour, $25 an hour, and up over time. I mean, you can't just jump crazily with all your clients. But I had a student one time who started off a little bit higher because he had done some freelance and he had clients that were already trusting him. So he came in charging around $20 an hour. And at the end of his senior year, he was charging $40 an hour. And so he was able to get his fee up. Now that you would see, wow, that's a pretty big jump. But he was very competitive. He did really good work. He couldn't do it as fast as a 9-to-5 design firm, but he did it at $40. It was less than half of what a design firm would cost. So it was very attractive to a client. So, and I've even told clients that before, if they're like, oh, wow, that sounds like too much. And I just go ahead and tell them, oh, well, if you think that's too much, go to another design firm. They're going to charge you double that. So, hey. I think that was worth saying here. Let's move on. And thank you, Caitlin, for sharing that. Let's see. Who is it? Let's see. Rebecca. Oh, wait. I don't know if Rebecca, are you out there still?
I'm just chatting with her, actually. She keeps getting kicked out of Zoom for some reason. I don't know if it's her internet, but she tried. She wasn't able to connect.
Okay, because I was going to see if she wanted to participate, or not. But either way is fine. But if you can chat with her, kind of let her know that if she would like to participate, to kind of, feel free to speak up and go, hey, ask me some questions. All right. And I'll do that for her if she likes. And if okay. Rebecca, if you can, I don't know if you heard that, Rebecca, but if you did, feel free to speak up and I'll ask you questions so you can be in on the discussion if you like. Morgan, do you have any questions about how this determining cost model is working?
Actually, this is really the first time that I've looked at this course unit, but this is the first time I've really seen it broken down this way. So it's just interesting to me as a person who has done some professional work before. I know that I guess some of these numbers I've just never seen before. So
Gotcha.
That leads me to believe that I need to improve the way that I do work professionally when it comes to determining costs and I guess contracts and such.
Yeah, and it should be said that this is a model of determining your cost and coming up with an hourly rate. And there are multiple models, and you can find them all over the place in books and on the internet. So this is not the only model. This model came from a man named oh gosh, I can't believe I forgot his last name. John. Dude, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, we'll just say it came from a designer who owned a business in Manhattan for 30 years. And he used this to set his rates. And as it describes, it's called the multiplier method. Here, okay, had to turn that off. All right, it's called the multiplier method. As you can see, it multiplies, as you go through it based on certain things. I wanted to say something about the times 75%. I don't know if it describes it here. I hope it did. But 75% is just a projected. It may be higher or lower than that, but that's kind of a standard.
Okay.
Right.
And is that that would be projected depending on what role you're in? Is that something that is, I guess, set across the team?
It's kind of set across the team. They're saying people will be able to charge, hopefully, at 75% of their time.
Okay.
And sometimes it's lower than that. You want to keep it as high as possible. So that I did want to mention that's where that came from. Does it say that anywhere? Yeah, that's what you guys see where I'm circling. Mm-hmm. Individual can bill 70 to 75% of the remaining hours. So that's what that came from. Let's see. So you get your total labor costs, then you have your overhead. You guys ever heard the term overhead?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So let's go to Liberty.
What would you say? Oh, I was going to ask you a question. What would you say is the difference between like your monthly nut and your overhead? They always seem to be similar to me.
Well, they are. I mean, your nut is your receipts minus your debts, and that's your nut, right? Whereas this is your overhead is your debt.
That's your expenses.
It's just your expenses. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then.
All right. So I'm not sure that these numbers are still 100% realistic, but what is real is we do pay leases and rents, and we pay utility fees for office supplies, etc. And so the big problem people have is they may charge, at a direct labor rate, like you could say J. Jones, just to pay this person's salary and benefits, they would have to earn $29.31 per hour just to cover that. But that's not enough. You have to also cover your overhead. Okay, so you have to know where that is, what that is, and obviously it tells you how to do that. And so it goes from J. Jones having to make $29 an hour to having to make $43 an hour just to cover the overhead costs, right? And we said earlier in the quarter that if you have an employee like a receptionist or bookkeeper that is not working directly with the clients, you cannot charge clients for their time. So you have to build that into the designer's rates. So keep
That's
that in mind.
you do it.
Yeah. And so you can see the multiplier method here. It tells you, if you multiply their direct labor rate times 1.5, that would give you the 43.97. And you got the 1.5 up here because you divided the total labor cost by their the overhead, essentially, or from their total labor cost minus their cost of the company. Yeah,
is there a PDF of this somewhere or something that we can save once we don't have access to it?
You could take screenshots real quick,
Yeah.
but I think, isn't this actually in the hourly rate generator?
The whole formula. Okay.
I think it's in there. And I said it's optional, but so just make sure you download that because I think that this is all in there.
Yeah, it gives you step-by-step directions as you go through it. It was actually really easy to fill out.
Yeah.
Well, except for it's an RTF, which is difficult to fill out. But
gotcha. And so anyway, I was going to ask Liberty. Liberty, are you making a profit if you've covered your labor and? Sorry, I keep getting texts. Let me just cut my phone down or off. Sorry. Okay. So Liberty, quick question. Are you covering your behind, if you will, if you are covering your labor and overhead costs?
Isn't that like breaking even?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're just breaking even, what do you think about
Well, it depends on what age your business is.
that?
It's a
Okay.
great sign year 5.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you're not making a loss, and are you considering yourself an expense in that? Are you getting paid, or is that
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
okay? So breaking even's like a big thumbs up, in my opinion.
Okay. Well,
Af-
if you're not
After like,
making even, you're not making any money. You're not making enough to even survive. But the truth is, if you're not making a profit, nobody's going to loan you money, and no one is going to buy you. And a lot of
right,
designers design themselves out of the business. They will end up owning the building. And so they now have real estate with equity that they can also sell. And then if they can sell their business for a profit, it can make for a nice retirement fund for them. So the goal for every job should be roughly, I think 25% is a nice projection per profit. And so
yeah, that would
you
be the
can
dream.
see that if you've got your total operating budget and your profit goal is 25%, you find your multiplier by dividing your total fee income from your total labor costs, and it gives you a multiplier of 1.89. And oh, by the way, wait, I was going to say, essentially, yeah, you guys can see that right now. If you're doing that, you could actually, oh, I know what I wanted to say. In John's model, the 25%, it's kind of weird. His 25% actually covered not only his overhead. So you may be wondering this, but it covered not only his overhead, but a profit. But that could not have given him a profit of 25%. I think it was like a profit of around 15% total, as if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So you may have to, because he wasn't, like I showed you guys the 1.5 to get to your break even, but he totally skipped this and went straight for the 25%. But that means there's no way he could have had a total profit of 25%. And I think he told me it was really his profit model was like 15%. But the extra 10 covered his overhead apparently. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that to you guys so you would know. So anyway, in the end, in his model, the multiplier 1.89 came into play, and that kind of gave him this final fee that he would charge for each person. And as I said earlier, I don't like charging different fees for different people necessarily. It's just so much easier to say, hey, it doesn't matter whether M. Smith or P. Brown or S. Bali did it. We're charging you $100 an hour. It's just easier for me. So just kind of take that for what you will. But I think in this class, the goal is for you to not go out in the field. The goal isn't to make you perfect necessarily. We can always look up and figure this out and do it a different way. There's many models, but so that you understand the basics of what it takes, right? So if it's a little bit confusing, that's okay. It's more to the point of you understanding what's going on in the field. And we can always fix it or come up with something clearer than that. All right, let's go to Martin. Martin, have you ever estimated a job before?
Yeah, both at work and personally for freelance projects.
Fantastic. Now, my worksheet that I created was created from multiple firms' sheets, and I made kind of a master sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it at this point needs to be updated. I know it needs to be updated. But can you tell us anything just about your experiences estimating, maybe common pitfalls?
My most common pitfall is being way too optimistic and sometimes not completely understanding the client relationship and the quality of information that they're going to give up front. So if you start running into issues where they weren't clear communicators or they changed their mind halfway through and you don't have like a clear scope of work for what you were going to produce, you end up painted into a corner to where you're having to make additional revisions for them, or the project lasts for 6 months at a time.
Yeah. So how does that affect your profit?
It definitely tanks it. So I try to communicate those things up front, especially for freelance projects, to make sure that they know what the process is, how much time I expect that to take, what check-ins will be provided where we're going to review the information together and have that all outlined with the bottom line cost. And then you CYA by saying, anything additional to this is going to be an additional fee. So
excellent. So I hope you guys just heard that last statement. Anything extra is going to be an additional fee. So very good. And so estimating is really the basis for you making a profit, and setting a realistic hourly rate for yourself where it's profitable is also super important. And I should just tell you this: you're going to have clients that just kind of drive you crazy. Maybe you don't make as much. Sometimes it's my own fault. Martin was just saying, it's easy to underestimate. I think as designers, sometimes we're like, we overestimate our superpowers. And we're like, oh, I can do that in 4 hours. Oh, I can do that in 2 hours. And what I've learned to do, as it says here, is if you think you can do it in 4, why don't you just go ahead and double that? And that's a really good rule of thumb. It almost always takes twice as long, sometimes even longer than what we think. And so if you don't know, just double it. And if it's a problem, you can always negotiate with the client. One thing I want to say really quick is if a client wants something more than is in the agreement, then you need to make sure that you fill out what's called a change work order, right? And what that means is they want more than is currently listed in the scope of the project. And what I'll do is, somebody really wants something, I will tell them, look, it's going to cost you more. And you can estimate how many hours that may be. And I may tell them, okay, that's going to easily take us a whole day to do that. I'm going to charge you 8 hours times $100 an hour is my typical rate. So it's going to be $800 more. At that point, the client can go, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I'm fine now. Or they may be like, okay, great, let's do it. But I would never just not say anything and then just submit a bill for an extra $800, because they may not remember. They may think, oh, that's just free. It's somehow in the scope of the current project, and it's not. So always communicate. I've gotten in more trouble not communicating with my bosses and my clients than anything else. Let's see.
I'm in the print production class right now, and we just interviewed different printing places.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the discussions that the main thing everyone was really touching on was printers managing expectations and having open communication with their clients. They'll come in and they'll want this really nice paper and these really expensive inks, but then they'll expect the job to be, what they originally quoted with, stuff that wasn't as nice, or so yeah, being able to explain things and manage their expectations so they're not surprised.
Yeah, and I would say one thing you can do to help that is, let's say you design something and they don't really have the budget for it, but they want nicer things. Sometimes you can compromise. You can say, well, if you want that nicer paper, let's print fewer colors, or vice versa. Or, there's ways to cut costs, and sometimes. So you can kind of negotiate sometimes and make people happy. And then, it doesn't affect your profitability. So some of you guys have read this story about Leila Vignelli. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. I actually, I don't know if you guys know Massimo Vignelli as Leila, I consider a goddess, and Massimo, her husband, is a god of design. We have lots of gods and goddesses out there that we celebrate as designers. And he came to SCAD one time, and I had the luck to get to just kind of drive him around Savannah and hang out with him an afternoon. So I kind of took him on the Baker's Savannah tour. I'm from Savannah, so I took him to some places he was not expecting. And so it gave me lots of time to talk to him. And he told me the story how that Layla was the business mind. She kept them profitable. And he, and I think he had some partners or associates, they would estimate a job. And then they knew that they were going to make a profit. Eventually Layla taught them to make a profit. But at first she would be like, Massimo, I'm looking at your estimate. Are you kidding me? We're going to lose our shirts if you charge this. And I was like, yeah, well, what did you learn? And he goes, finally, we were making a great profit. We were doing great design, and more clients would pay more to work with us. And he goes, one time we tried to turn it around on Layla. So what we did is we estimated, we knew we were making a profit because she had taught us, and then we doubled it before it even got to her. And she said, she called this in and she goes, Massimo, what are you thinking? We're going to lose our shirts, right? And then he laughed, and because, the joke was on her, he told her he had doubled it. And she goes, double it again then. And he did, and they still landed the job. So if you're doing good work and people believe in you, you can make a lot of money if you're, but they're in a kind of a high end market there, working with big corporations and things. But anyway, I thought that was an awesome story. And it does say Layla used a multiplier method to determine her billing rates. So pretty cool. But anyway, thanks, Caitlin, for sharing that. As far as billing, there's lots of things here. I don't want to talk about every bit of it. But you guys, let's see. Let's see. Rebecca, did you want to participate in the discussions? Or did she make it back in?
I don't think she made it back in.
Okay.
I don't think she was getting kicked out.
Oh, darn. Okay, Morgan. What is the difference between an estimate and a quote?
An estimate is I guess the list of is it the actual list of services that would be provided?
Yeah.
Versus the actual the price of those services.
Okay, good try. But you're kind of close. But here's the way it works. An estimate is a flexible price based on flexible conditions, where a quote is a fixed price. You can't change it. So
okay, right.
It's a fixed price, and it is completely unflexible. So I never, ever give a client a quote because if my paper costs go up or the printing costs go up or some other thing goes up, I can't change it. And
okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So a quote is generally good for a certain amount of time, and then, then you could re-quote it. But I never do quotes. I always do estimates. And even in my contracts, I even write, this is an estimate only. It does, if costs go up or suppliers or whatever go up, then your price will be higher in the end. As it says in this paragraph that I'm circling, estimates, clients should expect estimates to not be a fixed price. So normally clients are okay if a job will go up maybe up to 10% more than the original estimate, because it's not insane. But even if it goes up 10%, I'm going to let them know that that's happened. I never surprise them. So that's kind of what I wanted to make sure you guys were on the same page with me there. We've already talked about the other stuff. Let's see. Collecting. Have you guys, let's see. Morgan, has anybody ever owed you money?
Yes.
Did you get it from them? How did you get it from them?
I actually was able to get it from them, but I ended up having to go through another person to do it. My first freelance job I got from my old boss at a design firm. And so they had an outstanding bill for about a month and a half. And she kind of had to step in and, let them know that they needed to pay me. And for whatever reason, they listened to her. They just weren't listening to me.
Okay, well, you had a very strong advocate. It could be that they needed her services and they knew, or maybe her goodwill, because her reputation was important. And they decided that their reputation was more important than just screwing you over in the end, perhaps. So they reconsidered. Yeah. So that was really cool for you to have that advocate.
Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah. How about you, Liberty? Have you ever had somebody owe you money or your firm money?
Yeah, I make sure I always get a deposit. So there's some guarantee in the beginning, and I don't send deliverables until they've paid. I show them screenshots of stuff like, here it is, it's finished, as soon as you pay the final invoice. So luckily I did that before I ever got burned, actually.
That's good. I had to learn the hard way, and then I decided that I needed to do a deposit.
Good.
Yeah.
I think in this course, it tells you that a good rule of thumb is to be paid in thirds, right? So you want 1/3 up front. So if it's $900, you want $300 before you even start the work at all, as a deposit. That means they've got some skin in the game. They trust you. They like your work. They've heard good things, and they've got some skin in the game. If they don't move forward, they don't get their $300 back ever. Generally, once you get to midpoint of the job, like when they see like next week 5, when you guys hand in your designs, that would be considered essentially like a midpoint. It's not printed yet. It's not finally executed, but it's close. But at that point, if they agree, hey, those design firm forms and stationery and design look fantastic, yeah, I want you to complete the job, then you would send them a bill for the second third. All right. And you do not keep working if they don't send the money. Liberty, I like that. You kind of show it to them, but you don't give them the files. And but once you finally have it done, if it's executed, maybe it has to go to an illustrator or photographer, or you need final copy written, who knows. But once it's finally done and you send it to them, then you would send them the final bill for the final third. And so that's a good way to work. Just know that there are some clients that say, hey, we don't work on thirds. We want to be paid half up front and half at the end. So everything's negotiable. Just know that it's business. So if that doesn't work for you, then just tell them no. But maybe it depends. If they're a trusted client, maybe you can bend a little bit if you had a good success in the past with them. But it does go on to just tell you, you are going to get screwed sooner or later. It's just life. No matter how you try to protect yourself, there'll be somebody that just kind of rips you off sooner or later. So you have some choices, right? You guys have already read about these. But do you guys have any questions or opinions as to small claims, collection agencies, or civil courts?
Oh, just try not to ever go there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't they do like mediation first? You can do that as a choice.
You can write that into your contract that you do mediation. You'd have to have some type of person to mediate for you. I honestly, if I have to go to court, and it's, let's say, in most states, it's either called small claims court, or like in Georgia, it's called magistrate court. And magistrate court is small claims court here. And you can see, it's for small amounts. Like if somebody owes you maybe $5,000, you can take them to small claims court. You don't need a lawyer. You just have to come in with your contract. And in your contract, you tell them what they were going to get, when they were going to get it. And they can't just say, well, I didn't like the work, so I don't have to pay them. It doesn't work that way. I mean, a lawyer can lose your case and you still have to pay them, right? So if you've done what they asked you to do and you've done it well, you should be able to prove it very easily. They signed a form. You should never work without a signed contract, because the judge is going to say, oh, they owe you $5,000. Can I see the contract? And you should hand it to them. If you go, oh, I don't have one, it was a verbal agreement, oh boy, did you just mess up. Because now it's he said, he said, or she said, he said, or whatever. It's their opinion versus your opinion, and nobody wins that easily unless you just have a very, very, very understanding judge. The judge is going to actually, if you without a contract, the judge may even tell you you're an idiot. All right, so they're not always nice because you are essentially. Business respects business, right? And, you know, if that happens to you, fine, learn and just never do it. Never work without a contract again. Oh, and I should say this. Let's say, okay, if I'm an idiot and I lose the case because I didn't have the contract, I can write that off as a loss to the IRS. So worst case scenario, just get over it, move on, write it off as a loss on your taxes. Okay. You won't get the whole money back, but it's off on your profits, you know, on your salary. So, okay. You have less taxable salary now, and that's always good. If you have to go to a collection agency, good luck, because they don't have a great success ratio, and you still have to pay them. So you're still going to get back. If you get anything back, it's going to be less than what you were owed. Civil court, if they're a corporation, it's going to be hard to sue them in civil court. And because they have that corporate veil that you can sue the corporation, but not them personally. So you can still take their corporation to court, but it's going to cost money because you've got the lawyer up. If they have better lawyers and more money than you, they can use the law against you. They can just hide and dodge and parry, and you may get paid back, but it could take forever. And then you still have to pay your lawyer. So you're still not going to be happy no matter what happens. So just know that's kind of what we're in for. But bad debts are part of the business. The main thing to say there is just don't let it eat your lunch. Have you guys ever been so mad that you're fuming for days, weeks, a month, and the other person doesn't even care? So you're getting all stressed out in a twist. It's eating your lunch. It's even affecting your health. You can't sleep. And I think you need to learn to move on. Get what you can get and move on. Right. And, unless it's just like incredibly so bad that you can't help it. But
that is great advice.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. It does say at the very bottom that people who start their own businesses cannot afford to work for free. So I know a lot of you guys are very, you care about your communities. You want to do social design. I do that myself. But so maybe, half of your work or more could be work that you're paid, and then maybe you give away a certain percentage of your time to help the environment or whatever it is your cost. But I would say up front, new businesses can't afford a lot of work that they're not paid for. That's what it comes down to. I know a business that they would do spec work for most of the workforce was for profit because they needed to make profits. But one weekend in the whole year, out of 52 weeks, one weekend, they would get clients, the nonprofit clients, to submit projects to them, briefs, and they would select. They couldn't do them all, but they selected the ones they thought they could do, and they would have a weekend where people came in. Everybody at the design firm kind of gave away their weekend and worked for the nonprofits. And maybe Sunday afternoon, they brought the nonprofits in and pitched their ideas. Everybody felt great. The files were handed over, or conferences were had, or extra helping hands were given. But that was it. And everybody left feeling great, right? But to do what was cool about that is they weren't nickeled and dimed in a way all year long by everybody asking for free stuff. And believe me, it's going to happen to you because they know you're a designer. You guys are rare and you have skills that they need and things that they need, and everybody has their hand out. So just be careful not to do too much of that up front, right? Anyway. I think, and then spec work generally is, I'll give you a quick example, a different example. Nonprofit could be considered spec or not, but let's say that spec work could be that the Miami Tourism Bureau puts out a call for design firms to make pitches for the 2020, come to Miami as a tourist campaign, whatever they call it. Now, isn't that working on spec if your firm decides to make a pitch? You may even have to fly down there and make the pitch, or maybe you can make it over the internet. I'm not sure today, but that would be considered speculative work. Now, if your design firm lands that contract, that's going to mean a lot of money for you, right? So it's kind of like gambling. But if your firm is not chosen, then you did all that work for nothing. Okay, so keep that. That's why a new firm should not be doing a lot of spec work. I've seen firms that maybe they have a lot of work going, and maybe they have a small design team that just finished a job and they don't have something ready for them right away. So they'll let them do some spec work just to give them something to do, making a gamble, that perhaps they'll win. But don't expect to always, it's foolish to think you're going to land everything. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. It does talk about paying the IRS. You guys don't save your clients money. You don't save your clients money by not charging them correctly, not charging them for fonts, not charging them for images. Don't give away stuff for free. You will get sued by Adobe if you're giving away their fonts eventually. If you're not paying your taxes, the IRS will eventually find you and make an example.
I have a question for you in terms of your own internal way of keeping fonts. If it's not a type kit and I've downloaded the stuff, it's like impossible to find out what was free, what was not. I'm trying to find a system that would help me, because now I have like 400 fonts.
I would go back and maybe even talk to Adobe or read your fine print.
Not necessarily even to Adobe. You get on stuff on like Font Squirrel or Lost Type, or
Gotcha. I think what it comes down to, here's how I handle it. If I use a font for a client, no matter where I get it from, I go find out how much that font costs to have the license for it. Right? If it's $120, then I'm going to charge my client $120 plus 25%, because it took my credit card to buy it. I had to look for it. It took my time to do it. And so they're going to pay me 25% premium. So yeah, that's the way I would do it, is go find out how much it costs for it to license it. Because if they just start using it, you may still have the font at your office, but if they start using it, you both could get in trouble. NBC News, or I guess NBC, the network, I think they had licensed the Adobe type library on one computer. And then Adobe found out that they had transferred it to all of the computers, right? So they were illegally installing fonts. Now you can't do that as much anymore, right? Because you have Typekit, and it's kind of, it's easier to track things now than it used to be. But colleges in the past were made an example of for the same reason. They would have one license, but it would somehow the fonts would end up on every computer in the computer lab. But anyway, as far as paying taxes, pay your taxes. We talked about having an accountant and doing that. And I hate financials, but as a business person, I have to learn to read them. If you don't, and that's why I said find an accountant that is also a teacher, somebody who will hold your hand. Because if you don't, you're really going to get in trouble sooner or later. Keep in mind, though, that the IRS just wants you to pay. They're not looking to throw you in jail necessarily. They will if you don't pay up, but they're not looking to throw you in jail. They may negotiate with you and where you can pay less than you owe, but don't count on it being easy. If you do go to jail for not paying taxes, and by the way, what is not paying your taxes called legally? What is the legal term for that? Let's ask Martin.
All right, say that again.
What is the legal term for not paying your taxes?
Tax evasion?
You got it. Tax evasion. Now, let's say you get charged with tax evasion, and you go to court, and sure enough, you're found guilty. They are not going to throw you in with the murderers. Okay, so don't get too freaked out. But they're going to send you a place called Club Fed. You guys ever heard of Club Fed? It's a minimum security prison, which sucks, but you're probably not going to be, stabbed to death by your cellmate. But anyway, just pay your taxes. Okay. Let's see. I think that's about it. Yeah, that was it. So you guys, we've had a great discussion. By the way, if you've been to every discussion, I haven't entered the grade. Yeah, I did. I entered grades for discussions already. So if you're here, you've spent an hour and 15 minutes talking about a lot of stuff, right? So you're getting forced. So that's like going above and beyond. If you do the written discussions and you do a really good job, and I think you really fleshed it out and responded with thoughtful, extended commentary, then you'll probably get a 3. If it's or 3, sometimes 3.5. If it's just very little, or it's just kind of very average, it's not good quality, I would give you a 2. If it's a little bit better, I'd give you 2.5. So that's kind of how that works. But I think everybody got their grades for their first the units 1, 2, and 3 discussions. And if you have questions about your grades, always ask me. We can set up a Zoom or Skype actually meeting just between us if you like. But I think that's it. I think we're done. So as far as the agenda, we're not going to do the lateral thinking tonight. We're already 1 hour and 17 minutes in. I would be glad to do that with you guys in the future if you just wanted to do that. But I'll stick around if anybody wants me to look at their logos. I know that Morgan and I are going to do that. Look at that.
Yes.
One. So if you're good, we'll talk to you guys later. Email me if you guys have questions. And hope you have a good night.
Thanks, Professor.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Have a great night yourself.
All right, you too. All right, so. Wrong one. No, wait, no, it's this. Okay.
Professor, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, is there a way to, because I was just looking, is there a way to download these videos? Because I guess I'm the only one who showed up tonight who has yet to work professionally. So this was very, very insightful for me. Is there any way that these videos could be downloaded so I can,
Videos?
I'm sorry, the recordings.
Oh, yeah, let me show you where they are. Oops. I did tell people where they were, but it was several weeks ago, and not everybody remembers or even saw it, perhaps. I don't know. But if you go into the course.
Yeah, because I see them like in course supplements, but I was hoping, is there any way that we could actually like save them to our computers so that like when the class ends, we could still access the video? Because this one in particular,
Oh my gosh.
This was very informative.
Okay, here's what I'll do for you. You may have to remind me, but I'm going to write it down, so you probably won't have to. I'm going to try to put this on YouTube. I started using Kaltura because YouTube was taking longer, and our meetings had gone so long that it wouldn't actually let me. It was like, oh, we've rejected your video. So I'll put this one up on YouTube and send you the link. How about that?
Hey, thank you. Yeah, this one in particular, yeah.
Will do. Real quick, to Taylor, like you didn't make it on Monday, right? And it's okay if you didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make it on Monday.
So, like when we started the meeting, I took roll, and then you came in, but I couldn't see you because I had minimized my screen. Because I would have been asking you questions. So if you want to wonder why isn't Baker asking me questions? I didn't even know you were here. So,
okay, I'm sorry, because I didn't want to like.
Yeah. Well, next time, just interrupt me. Just interrupt me. It's okay. And just go, hey, Baker, this is Taylor. I'm here. Especially if it's like after 7 because it was about 7:02, 7:03, and I took roll. And when did you come in?
I think I popped in. It was still like 7:10. So
So it was a little bit after we started, which is fine. But let me know next time, because I'll mark you as being here tonight. And because you've been here since then, I'm going to just kind of give you, and we're discussing things right now. We'll say this is our discussion. How about that? But can you stick around and help us with Morgan's, give Morgan some feedback? And that will consider that part of your discussion, so you get the 4 tonight. All right. But okay, cool. Well, thanks for asking me that. Let's go to Morgan's. All right. So Morgan, thank you for giving me lots of variations.
You're so welcome. I hope I didn't miss anything. I tried to take notes from when we spoke before.
I think you did really well.
Okay, perfect.
I do want to see one more thing, and you could probably do it. We could stop sharing and go to your screen if you want.
Okay.
But let's talk about these. I'm going to go ahead and reject some of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And maybe I just don't get it or something. But the ones where the dynamite really stands out makes me want to read like good night.
Okay.
Good night. And I always say good night.
Yeah, I was still trying to play with the concepts of my other team members.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
And no, that's awesome. But I'm just saying that when it comes to brand identity, legibility is number 1. Custom design is number 2, and what of importance, because if people don't read it fast or correctly, and I don't think people would have like horrible time with it, but I want them to read it immediately.
Okay. Yeah. No, understandable.
All right. Cool. Also, the gradients, it would look great on screen, but printing, sometimes if it gets small, it may get a little bit murky.
Okay. Yeah.
So it could work, but I'm always kind of a little bit scared of gradients at times. Let's see. All right, so let's go. There's some major similarities, above and below on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The one above the eye is a little bit higher. The one below the eye is basically the same size. In the second column, we have essentially made the eye the same. Really, between this one and this one, are they the same? What's the difference?
Yeah, those two are the same.
Okay, cool. Not a problem. And then thank you for humoring me and pulling the fuse over to the other eye. And then as I look up here, the difference is the fuse isn't quite as long. What am I missing?
So for that one, I adjusted. Remember, you made the comment that you weren't quite sure if the sparks were not level, but if they were turned strangely. And so I went in and just kind of like edited just a small bit to kind of, I guess, give it more of an angle.
Got it. So if I look between here and here, I think this is an improvement. This spark is an improvement over this one in terms of the space.
Sure.
How do you feel about that?
No, I think that is an improvement as well. It gives a little bit more space in between, and it looks more optically aligned.
Yeah. And then if you do look from this spark and the fuse, the one like where I'm going diagonally down over here, this one has a variable weight stroke. Right? You see what I'm talking about? It kind of, whereas this one is a mono weight stroke. Right? So those are some small differences. And then here you outlined everything. And so I would say right now, I don't know what your favorite is, but I'm kind of digging kind of this one more than else. What would have been your gut? Which one would you have picked?
I think the one that you just picked, honestly.
Okay. I think what I like about it is it's just really clear. I think it's the same spark as this one that we said was kind of it's just so easy to read. It has plenty of punch. But I want to hear Taylor. Taylor, I should have let you get a word in edgewise. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I'm a quiet person in general, but I actually, I guess because personally I am a fan of wordplay, so I do like the one where the actual spark is above the second eye.
Okay.
Because I guess looking at that, there's the word ignite, and then the image of one eye lighting the other. It kind of reinforces that to me, but that's because I'm just fond of words. So that's probably just me.
No, thank you so much, Taylor, because I was also going to say that if I had to pick another one,
It'd be that one.
it would be that one. I think both of these are really strong.
Okay.
Now, if you do, Taylor, tell me if you think this too. Do you see how this spark is not really directly over the eye vertically?
Yeah, I think, especially with the one ignite where the sparks are spaced out, it does look like on the top row, the third one in the top row, how she changed the angling, and it's like the spark kind of does look like a perfect circle in the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see, if she put that directly over the second eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
So Morgan, we're going to ask you to do that. So I want you to do 2 more changes real quick, and you can show us like right now because it won't even take long to do it. So what we're asking you to do is to move this spark directly over the top of the eye. It's just to the left of center vertical. That won't take you long.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing mine.
Okay.
First. Okay, so I'm stopped. So yeah, okay, good. We'll be able to see you now.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Sure can.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So we'll just kind of do some just real quick things. So perfect. So we'll just tap that over. Okay, good. Now go get the fuse. That's the mono. So delete that fuse essentially.
Delete this one. Okay.
And let's get that mono weight fuse. Yeah. And if if you have to ungroup it and all, I know that can be. And if you can't do it like right now, you could send it later, but we'll see. You may be able to do it.
I'm just gonna cut this. That's the quickest way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just gonna do a little boop.
Yeah, and I'm not going to expect you to have it perfect because you may need to go back in and tweak it. So don't get to like you're under a lot of pressure or anything. But yeah, so the idea, and I'm thinking you could have like a lower wave even, because it's further out. So it doesn't have to be quite as, like what's the word?
I'm just going to kind of like stick this here.
Fine. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah.
You kind of get the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What we're trying to do.
If you want, you could just, yeah, actually that's good. We'll get the idea. So yeah, so the crests and the valley of the waves can be, slightly less, high or low. But I think, what I want you to do is after you do this, or maybe we can see it, I want you to send it to me one last time.
Okay.
I think that this is either one of these I would probably be happy with. I have a feeling, I'm kind of with Taylor. What's nice is both of the eyes now are being used. So you kind of have that idea of the repetition. That's really kind of cool. But, and I'd like you, once you have that work, the fuse, however you want to have it, I want you to take that purple stroke off of the eye.
Okay.
I have an idea about something and I just want to see it. And by the way, we could always, in the real world, what we would do is we would have copied one of these or copied it and then, pasted it and then just made changes to the copy. So
Yeah.
we can go back and forth, but this is fine what you're doing right now. It's okay.
Okay.
But I definitely want to see that purple stroke off of the eye because I think it's causing some readability issues. And I think we still may see it as dynamite without that.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Copy this one. This one did a little weird.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then we can bring that to the front. Yeah, that eye can be brought to the front. Good. Definitely kind of cool to see it with and without. Do me one more favor. Can you make whenever you're ready. I was going to see.
Sorry. I was getting rid of the guides.
And make the fuses midnight. I mean, navy blue as well, but keep the spark as magenta. It's funny. I'm not sure. I'm glad you're doing this because it's proving to me very quickly what I needed to see. Okay, okay, just stop what you're doing on that.
Okay.
I think we basically get where this would be going. Do me a favor, make the fuse the magenta again. Taylor, any thoughts on the fuse, kind of where we are right now versus where we were?
I'm kind of torn because when it was the blue, it made the spark stand out more.
Yeah. Can you go back to that or undo your last move, Taylor? I mean,
Oops.
Taylor, sorry. Morgan.
There we go.
Okay. Can you get rid of the magenta piece that's just kind of behind?
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay that it's not perfect. It's just kind of nice to see it without. That's nice. Wow. Okay. What it does is it simplifies it. Everything, all the letter forms have the same weight. And the spark becomes more of a lighted thing. But now that I see it, the problem with the purple stroke around the eye is that it does kind of a weight shift. It causes a bit of a weight shift.
Okay.
But I kind of like it. Now, how about you, Taylor? What do you think about the magenta stroke around the eye? Can we live without it? Or you see it? I think the thing about the magenta stroke to me is because we know dynamites are red, or it kind of gave us a clue as to what. Yeah or no?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And feel free to disagree with me. There's very little right and wrong, in design. And honestly, if you lock two designers in a room, one of them's going to die. Because we're going to disagree and get in a fight. But yeah. Okay, let's put that purple stroke or magenta stroke back on the eye. But keep it off of the other thing. Sorry, of the fuse. Yeah, navy fuse. We may go back to magenta, but I just wanted to see the difference. I kind of like the magenta. How about you, Taylor?
Yeah, because when it was all blue, the sparks did. But yeah, the blue was heavy. I guess that's what stuck out to me. The blue was too heavy. So with that magenta, there's more of a balance between the two colors.
Got it. All right, Taylor. Morgan. It's been a long day, guys. Just forgive me.
It's okay. No worries.
Do one more thing for me.
Okay.
Either the I goes up or the G, N, I, T, E go down. Right now, G and I, T, E are up above. Because of the stroke, they're up above. If you could select G, N, I, T, E. All right, tap it down a couple of one more stop there. Let's look at it. I want it to feel like it's on the same baseline as the stick of dynamite. Can you put a guide below the stick of dynamite, but put the guide on the bottom of your magenta stroke on the bottom of the eye? Yeah, maybe you can just pull one more guide out of your ruler at the top and pull it down. There you go, great. Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there. So you can see the G is right. It's just below optically.
Mm-hmm.
The baseline, everything else is basically on that baseline. I think that should be optically correct. Let's turn your guides off, hide your guides, and then let's zoom out again. Okay. I like that a lot. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, more balance. Now they're aligned, and adding the stroke back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like the eye. It's clever because both eyes are used. You have that idea of kind of repetition, but variety. And so I could see that one. We definitely would want to get that fuse kind of finalized so that it's mono weight.
Okay.
And, but you can do that later.
Okay.
And like I said, the valleys and crests don't have to be quite as the word extended. Yeah. But you could do a couple versions and talk to your team and on that. It may look fun. You know, when you do that, you could go, oh, Baker was wrong. What I had here was right. You know, so
Okay.
your judgment. And I would say it's either what we just did, or if you go to the first one on the bottom left, same thing.
This one.
Yeah, move the G and ITE down. What'd you do? 3 clicks? Or was it more? You could show your guides. Let's do that.
Oops.
I think that's it. It went too far.
Oh, it looks like the G was not where it was supposed to be to begin with.
Okay. Yeah, just the G can go up maybe 1 pop. That's about right. So let's zoom out on that one.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Let's zoom out, and I think we're done. We'll just kind of look at it one more time. I do like them both. I think the only thing I would even think of is, like we said, try to play with the fuse itself a little bit.
Okay. Well, I guess I can take these 2 back to the team.
Yeah, I think that would
and
be
see.
great.
Hopefully, I can get some feedback.
I think that would be great. I think you could make a horrible choice for either one.
Okay.
I think if the fuse, all things given, if I'm trying to think, if the client was going to be here in like 1 minute, which one will we go with? Which one is just like feeling right? They're not very different from each other. Morgan, this is your question actually. If the client's coming in 1 minute, if you have to toss a penny in the air, which side are you hoping? Which one? Is it left or right? Which one are you
I like the idea of using the second eye, but I feel like if they're walking into the room like right now, that line is not correct. And I feel like that they would go with the first one because that line looks unfinished.
Excellent. Taylor, did you pick that one too when the penny was in the air?
Yeah, honestly, because it is because of the fuse. I think.
Believe it or not, I did too. I would have picked the one on the left.
So it's the one on the left.
The one on the left, but you left a little bit of room, Morgan. If you want to play with that fuse one more time and then show it to your team, but go with your gut.
Okay.
In the end, you'll know.
Okay. Awesome. So now that we have this established, we can
Yeah.
Do our thumbnails
Yeah.
because
Yep.
yeah, we seem to be a little behind on that. So I'm emailing them right now to let them know that,
And
you know, some quick and dirty thumbnails
good.
need to happen.
You guys have until tomorrow night at what, 11:59. So you have some time, but
Right. Yeah.
everybody needs to kind of work quickly and just explore different ways to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can do
I
it.
normally send them when you email us the next day after our meeting, I normally will forward that email like with a response or something like that of anything that they missed. So I'm just going to do that right now so that they know what's going on.
All right. Well, thanks for your hard work on this. And Taylor, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah.